Assalamu alaikum. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we'll be going over the specialties of family 3 and family 4. And so let's begin. So first we have family 3, also known as mufa'ala, right? And one meaning it has is of mutuality. So doing something that someone else is doing or with someone else or against someone else. Basically it has to do with another being. So for example, we have qatala, which is to kill. So this is a base form. And if we put this in family number 3, it becomes qatala, which is to combat. Because there's aggression from one side and then there's also aggression from another side, right? So you see the mutuality there. And then let's take a look at another example. Here we have faraqa, to separate, and then faraqa, to disengage. Meaning if you want to disengage, it has to do with someone again, right? Or like something. So again, mutuality concept. And then, for example, masha is to walk, but masha is to walk together. Again, you can see mutuality is obvious here. Another meaning that family 3 has is of continuation. So this holds a connotation of actions being perpetual. So for example, we have taba'a, which is to follow, and then taba'a, which is in family 3, it means to continue to follow or to pursue. So again, you can see that meaning of continuation once you put it in family 3. Another meaning family 3 can have is that it resembles other families, right? So for example, for family 2, one of the common meanings that family 2 can have is repetition. So if we have ضعف, which is to multiply, in family 3, ضعف also means to multiply. So it has the same meaning. It also resembles family number 1, so it can have the default meaning as well. So دفع is to push away, and then دافع is also to push away. And finally, another example is with safara, which is to travel, and then safara is also to travel. So again, if you put it into family 3, it still has the same meaning as family 1. So now let's take a look at another meaning, which is a warped meaning of the original. So for example, we have khada'a, which is to deceive, and then khada'a is to try to deceive. So it's essentially the original meaning being altered in some way. So in this case, the meaning is being warped to become an attempt of the action rather than being the action itself. That's all for family number 3. And now we have family number 4, which is also known as if'al. So for family 4, the most common meaning of this family is transitivity. So it's to change an intransitive verb from family 1 to become transitive. So for example, if we have nama, which means to sleep, then if we put this into family 4, it becomes anama, which is to put to sleep. So you can see that transfer from sleeping to putting someone to sleep. And then same thing with karuma, to be honored, becomes akrama, which is to honor. So again, going from something intransitive to transitive. And this is the most common meaning of this family. And then another meaning it has is of transformation. So basically changing the meaning into something that is becoming something through a process. So for example, we have falasa, which means to have nothing. And then if we put this into family 4, it becomes aflasa, which means to become bankrupt. So you're showing the transformation. So for example, we have tamrun, which means dates. And then if we put this into family 4, it becomes athmara, which means to become one who has dates. So you can see the transformation there from just dates to becoming someone who has dates, and from having nothing to becoming someone that's bankrupt, right? So the transformation has to do with becoming something. So another meaning family 4 has is to enter into a place or time. So for example, Iraq, right, becomes Araqa, which means to enter Iraq, right? So entering the country of Iraq, right? And then Subhun is the morning, right? And then if we put this into family 4, it becomes Asbaha, which is to enter into the morning, right? So you can see how it incorporates the meaning of place and time once you put it into family 4. And then another meaning it has is of removal. So for example, here we have ajamun, which means non-Arab, right? And typically a non-Arab can't read Arabic properly because the diacritical marks would be missing. So like the fatha and the dhamma are usually missing, and so they wouldn't know how to pronounce it. So to remove that issue, these diacritical marks are added, right? And it removes the inability to read, which is an issue for non-Arabs. So if you put this into family 4, it becomes ajama, which is to add diacritical marks, right? And then another example is qadha, which is dirt in the eye. And then if we put this into family 4, it becomes aqdha, which is to remove dirt from the eye. Again, the concept of removal. And then let's look at another meaning. So this has to do with interacting with someone in a particular state, right? So for example, here we have hamida, which means to praise, right? And if you put this into family 4, it becomes ahmada, which is to meet someone reverentially, meaning in a state of praise. And then same thing with karuma, which is to be honored. And then akrama is to meet someone honorifically, right? And then bakhila is to be miserly. And then abkhala is to meet someone with reservations, right? So you can see how the meaning changes from the base meaning to interacting with someone with that state, right? So another meaning that has to do with family 4 is actualization. So for example, if we have hasada, which means to cultivate, and then if we put this in family 4, ahsada dhara'u means the crops reached cultivation, meaning they're ready to be cultivated, right? It's been actualized, like it reached its endpoint essentially. So for example, we have zawjun, which means spouse, and then adwajat means to be ready for marriage. So again, it has a meaning of actualization. Another meaning that's present in family 4 is presentation or of offering, right? So for example, if we have rohana, which means to pawn, then arhana in family 4 means to offer as a pawn, right? So it has the meaning of offering, right? Another example is ba'a, which means to sell. Then aba'tuhu means I offered it for sale, right? Again, has to do with offering or presenting something to someone. And now meaning number 8 has to do with a response to family number 2. So for example, if we have fattara, which means to get someone to break their fast, meaning you're offering someone food to break their fast. If we put this into family number 4, it becomes aftara, which means to break one's fast, right? So it's a response to family number 2, right? And then another example can be bashara, which means to congratulate on good news. And then abshara is to rejoice over the good news. And again, it's a response to the meaning that has to do with family number 2. And then we have the meaning of opposites. So, for example, we have farata, which means to be laxed or deficient, right? But then, if you put it into family number 4, it becomes afrata, which means to go in excess. So it's the opposite of being deficient. So here you have too much, here you have too little, right? So family number 4 can also have an opposing meaning. And then finally, the last meaning it can have is basically the same meaning as family number 10. So if we have ista'zama, which means to deem great, then in family number 4 it would be a'zama, which is also to deem great. So it has the same meaning. And so that covers everything for today. So I'll see you guys next time.